Oh, hello, world. It's me, Dan Shaheen. Wow, we got breaking news, as you can see, scrolling right down there. Pretty big comic book news. Apparently, DC Comics is leaving Diamond Comics Distributors for good. I'm going to share a couple things. I got there's an article by Rich Johnson in Bleeding Cool. As usual, Rich is on top of the story. What he doesn't have and what I do have to talk about here is I got the actual text of the email that DC sent out, their DC Direct email. I got that sent to me by one of my loyal comic book news sources. And so maybe we'll take a quick look at that. And let me pull it up here so I can read it. I don't want to divulge my source in this case. Maybe I will share the Rich Johnston story for the moment. If that doesn't kill my performance here, I think we should be okay. And then I will read the actual email here from DC. So we'll start with that, and then we'll talk about Rich's analysis, what there is of it. Dear DC Direct Market Retailer, first and foremost, we hope this finds you safe and well, especially during what has been an incredibly challenging year. We're writing today to share with you that DC's long-standing relationship with Diamond Comic Distributors is coming to a close, effective following Diamond's distribution of product offered on DC's final order cutoff list of June 1st. We want to thank Steve Geppi and the great people at Diamond for all their years of service. And joining me live right now from Texas, Jeremy Shore from Titan Comics. Hey, Jeremy, you're in the store. You want a face mask on? I hope I can hear you okay.
Well, no, there's customers in the store. We wear face masks when they're customers.
Of course you do.
Well, I kind of like to stay healthy. That's the goal.
Okay, Jeremy, I'm just going to mute you for a second here while I finish reading this statement, and then we'll talk about it, okay? Thanks for joining. So we recognize that to many of you, this may seem like a momentous decision. However, we can assure you that this change in DC's distribution plans has not been made lightly and follows a long period of thought and consideration. The change of direction is in line with DC's overall strategic vision intended to improve the health of and strengthen the direct market, as well as grow the number of fans who read comics worldwide. In the near term, Diamond will only be fulfilling orders placed through June 1st final order cutoff and will not solicit the sale of new DC titles further. To ensure a smooth transition for retailers, DC will suspend final order cutoff for June 8th, making those books available to order on final order cutoff of June 15th. Moving forward, we will continue our distribution relationship with Lunar Distribution and UCS Comic Distributors for distribution of periodicals and graphic novels, and Penguin Random House for distribution of graphic novels worldwide. We believe this new distribution system will bring you world-class service using top-of-the-line and modern systems that will provide you the most efficient operational supply chain. DC will continue to look for ways, together with our new partners, to better serve you and the fans to the best of our ability. We remain committed to the direct market and look forward to partnering with you to grow your business and to get the best comic books and graphic novels to the fans in the most efficient and seamless manner. All the best, DC. And that's followed by a list of frequently asked questions. But before I get to that, let me bring Jeremy and let me remove this story from the screen. Let me bring a real person in here who's got some skin in this game for sure. Jeremy, give me your first reactions to this as a retailer. Let me unmute you. I'm sorry.
Good. That was going to be my comment. So, well, first of all, for example, I just had another retailer from here in town stop in to pick up a wholesale order because we pool orders on things. Thank you, Ron. And anyway, so my immediate response is this is clearly mandated from way up the pay scale. I don't think this is a DC decision. I don't think this is a Warner Brothers decision. I think it's an AT&T decision. but we don't know. There's no telling.
I've got my own theories on this, but this just in from Steve Geppi. Steve Geppi has a comment on this story. He just texted me. It says simply this: those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it. Right? Clearly an allusion to the Marvel Heroes World debacle, and there's no other way to phrase it than that. Yeah. When Marvel decided to pull out of the direct market and go exclusive with their own distributor, they bought Heroes World and decided that is going to be exclusive to Marvel. Now, we don't know yet if that's what DC is planning to do here. They have taken their eggs out of one basket and split it up into two baskets. Now, if you asked me what would make a stronger market, it would have been maybe splitting it into three baskets and letting the market kind of have some decision in who they buy DC products from. What do you think about that, Jeremy?
Well, I think they did that because if you remember, they announced it was. I mean, I'm going to get my dates wrong because I'm terrible on dates to begin with, but it was about a month ago that they first announced the Lunar UCS thing. And they gave people the option of continuing to order through Diamond, where we'd get things late, or through Lunar and UCS. And what I think they saw is that virtually everybody said, we're going to stick with Diamond. Or maybe not everybody, but 80 to, I mean, I don't know any of the numbers. I'm making things up here. Yes. 80% of the accounts said, I said, I'll just wait for Diamond.
Yes. Okay. Almost everyone that I talked to, almost every retailer either said, yeah, I'm sticking with Diamond, or, hey, I'm going to sign up for these guys, but I plan to keep my orders primarily through Diamond.
Yes, and that's what I saw. And I mean, I have a UCS account. I've never used it. That'll be changing soon. But several of the interesting things that it's the sausage making conversation that doesn't make a lot of sense unless you're in the middle of it. For example, those of us with point of sale systems, none of our point of sale systems take UCS or Lunar invoices. That means we have to either come up with a way to somebody has to generate a way to do it automatically, or we type them in by hand. Oh, that'll be fun.
Are they giving you, can I ask you this? Are they giving you any kind of electronic format of invoice at all?
Yes. Well, having not ordered from them, I can't specifically say, but yes, there is an invoice. I know there's an invoice because I've heard other people talk about it, and it's incompatible with any of the current systems.
Well, what I'll say is this: if it is like a CSV file, like what Diamond gives you, a comma-separated value text file,
absolutely.
Then I would say this to any retailer. Here's a pro tip from a computer guy. You can really easily open that in a spreadsheet and reorder the columns any way you want and put in the column headers in the order of your Diamond invoice, and then you should still be able to import these things. Now, I can't speak for the individual codes and the numbers and what fits into each field necessarily, but theoretically, it could be done.
That is correct. I do know that I'm a Mobi user, and that's not going to work in Mobi. Because Mobi won't recognize any. UCS, at least, does not use the DEC 19 and then a 4-digit code, and consequently Mobi will go, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, seems like really a bad idea to switch this quickly without having something as fundamental as that in place.
Doesn't it though? And but which several people now I just got done reading the 75 or 80 comments that were there when I went in. I'm sure there are more now in the DC retailer forum. And the pretty much 99%, there were one or two guys who weren't as terrifically unhappy as everyone else, but most everybody's like, this is going to make our jobs 3 times harder. For me, the real problem from the overall standpoint and from the reading DC's text is this is going to grow the market. Well, every international account has already had trouble getting books from both of those distributors, and the exchange rates and the shipping rates have been ferociously expensive, and all that's going to probably do is make all of those guys not carry DC at all. Yes. And a lot of stores, I don't want to name names, but at least 4 different, because hello, Joe. I'd rather have those stores take responsibility for their own stuff. I don't need to trumpet anything, but I've saw at least 4 different fairly large and well-known stores say, I'm done carrying DC on the rack. Subscription only.
I could definitely see that as a viable answer here. Now, here's what I see from the outside, right? I'm not a retailer anymore, but just purely like signal analysis here. What I see from that letter, the timing, and the events that have come up to this seems to me like they may have tried to use this as a wedge to renegotiate terms with Diamond. Diamond may or may not have been willing to budge on that. They may have thought they were holding that if they pulled out of Diamond, they would cripple Diamond, so that they could use that to really hammer Diamond for better terms of some kind. And that probably didn't succeed as well as they thought that it might. It's the specific reference to Steve Geppi in the letter that almost makes me think that Steve might have said, and I have nothing to base this on, zero to base this on. Somebody decided, nah, we're not going to let them squeeze us that way. Let them try. We saw what happened when Marvel tried this same move. So let them try. We can compete. We've got the systems and the relationships and everything in place already needed to keep things going when things are good and normal, let alone in this crazy crisis time. Right?
What a strange and stupid time to pull this shit too. That's the thing that none of the retailers who are discussing things on the other side of things, were all like, why are you doing this now? What do you gain from doing it now? It just doesn't make any sense to pull. Now, if this was this time last year when things were rocking and rolling for everybody under the sun, okay. It might have made more sense, but doing it right now, that's just crazy. And
how about like Brian Garside from Managed Comics is joining us?
Sorry, Pete.
I'll put you out till you're ready, Brian. Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready, okay? So Jeremy, all right. So I feel like the timing is super suspect. I feel like they're probably trying to squeeze Diamond on the terms. And even if they, like you said, if this were the best of times, right? Even if this were the best of times, you would not roll this out with okay, we're cutting off orders today. Your orders are canceled and returnable. You would say, okay, in 3 months or whatever, we're going to phase this in. We're going to be ready with the systems that we need, because so many people are relying on their point of sale systems. And that's why I invited Brian here, and this is Brian Garside from Managed Comics. Brian, I want you to tell me, what does this bombshell mean, say, to you and your customers or people who are using your systems to rely on selling comics?
Well,
right
this is huge, because there's a number of different things. The first one is data is suddenly, I don't even know where I get this data from, because UCS and Lunar won't return any emails or phone calls I've made. So now I have to try and figure out exactly where I'm going to get data so that my customers can do FOCs and things like that. But on top of that, so I'm Canadian, and I was just literally on the phone with my former partner, Peter from All New Comics, and he said that his most recent Lunar order was $15 worth of comics, and his duty and taxes and shipping on that was $22. So financially, he's like, I don't even think I can sell DC Comics at all. He's going to be losing money on DC Comics.
Right, and this is what leads me to believe Jeremy nailed it when he said that this is coming from way, way, way above, because anybody in the industry knows what the impact of Heroes World was. They could see what that doing it like this is the worst possible way to do it. This is somebody in a grudge match over dollars and cents and points on the margin and whatever else, the brokerage fee, and just trying to bring it down. And honestly, my other analysis is this, just reading between the lines of what they said here, that this is a preparation for the direct market to implode. Like what happens if the direct market goes away? They're going to be ready to go right through Random House into the book trade and into the mass market in Walmart and Target and wherever else they've been preparing their inroads for now for months. It's super obvious from their marketing and messaging, to me anyway, that's what's going on. Jeremy, you're nodding. What do you think about that?
Well, okay. They've been in those markets. This is, going through Random House and all those other options isn't new, but they still aren't penetrating market share, because no matter which way you want to slice the pie, if you're not telling a story that people want to read on an ongoing basis, you're just not going to get any traction. And that's been the number one problem they've had, is getting traction with stories that people want to read.
I think that's true in direct market stores. And what I'm seeing, my analysis of this is they're saying, look, there's a much wider world. I'm going to mute you for a second here. There's a much wider world in the bookstores and the mass market. The direct market, compared to that, even if we maxed out the direct market, is not enough. We want to expand readership, is what they're saying. All their marketing is at this young adults oriented $7.95 price point, scholastic mass market point. To me, the signals are real clear that they're like, the direct market, if it stays, great, but if it goes, we got irons in other fires.
That is a purely evil motivation, like completely evil. And frankly, if this happens, and that's the reason they're doing this, then like I'm all on board with DC and whatever AT&T, whatever, failing as miserably as they can. That is the most
I don't know. Is it evil, Brian, or is it cynical, bottom line oriented, which is all that matters in the corporate world anyway? Tell me why it's evil compared to that it's just completely a dollars and cents equation. We don't care about loyalty to this direct market that brought us where we are. That means nothing. That's the past. We're talking about the future, right? So tell me why.
And that's what I'm talking about. If you are a company whose entire motivation and line of thinking all along has been our retail partners, and you suddenly abandon your retail partners, then damn you to hell. You should fail. That's disgusting.
I'm right there with you, Brian. Also, and several at least two different retailers posted pictures on in the DC forum of what's going on outside their front windows right now. National Guard vehicles parked across the street, people marching in the street in front of their stores, boards up over their windows. And this is the time to pull this off? Really? This is so ridiculously, blatantly unconcerned about anyone and anything except let's make some more money. And honestly, again, going back to Geppi, Brian, Brian did not hear Geppi's text. Geppi texted those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it, much in line with the Heroes World thing. And I mean, one of the things that I personally told DC, I mean, I know all the guys who work for DC. And this has been one of the most difficult parts of this whole process, is all of the people that interface with retailers who work for DC, Adam Phillips and Vince Laterio and all of these guys have had decades worth of we've had decades of relationships with them. We've eaten dinner with them, we drank with them, we laughed with them, we joked with them, we met with them in endless meetings. And it's really difficult to have that relationship with somebody and then have it turned around to where, and fuck you. Pardon my French.
Okay, I get where you're saying, but I look at the signals of where it's been going, dude, since I was a retailer, right? When I started as a retailer, there was something called the RRP, right? Where DC would reach out and on their dime, they would bring in the people that they deemed to be respected retailers that they could get like in a sort of a focus group of who they felt were the best and brightest retailers. This was in the Bob Wayne days when the person managing the relationship was an ex-retailer themselves, when they were the ones that built this industry on the back.
He's listening in the background.
Right? So those guys are gone and retired, and that has been established. And now we're in this new world. That was the world where comics had no acceptance. The comic stores were the ghetto, were the trash. You guys, everyone pulled out of that and showed the new model, brought comics to a new level of respectability as an art form and as literature and everything else. And it has just outgrown the direct market. And now it has transcended. It is viable in the mass market. And so now the DM does not matter. All of those relationships they used to have where they would invite retailers, dude, we flipped that on ourselves when we created Comics Pro. And we said, hey, we're going to make the event and we're going to pay for it ourselves and invite DC to it, right? It flipped the whole equation, and it stopped being DC no longer really cared about the direct market because the slice of their pie that it represented shrank and shrank and shrank. The whole pie is growing, but the direct market slice does not, and frankly probably cannot grow enough to make a dent in what AT&T needs to in their corporate debt.
And that's an entire other thing is when all these mergers and acquisition happen, when you get down to a company the size of DC, which is probably contributing like 0.01% of the overall bottom line, they're a rounding error. Like they're literally a rounding error. You could drop DC tomorrow and it would not affect AT&T's bottom line at all.
Yes.
But it will destroy an entire industry and network of retailers who've spent their lives building. Steve One says, Brian G, are you blind to the diamond monopoly that is destroying the industry? Absolutely not. There is a monopoly problem. I fully admit it. But the answer is not destroy everything and then hope that we can rebuild. That will not happen. If we destroy everything right now, it's done, guys. You ain't getting another.
Yeah, that's what
coming out of the.
So that's the part of the equation.
Yes, it did.
Where I feel like they are missing the boat is that that what they're not realizing is there is no market for the floppies outside of the direct market.
Right.
For the and I think they are not realizing there is no understanding of the creative production chain that leads to the graphic novel, and that the weekly comics and the hardcore fans and the fast feedback and everything else that provides is what makes graphic novels be viable in the long run. It's the constant need and generation of that story. If they switch to now, like, okay, 6 months between graphic novels coming out, I'm not saying they can't do that and can't make great things, but it's a whole different model of risk and production costs and scheduling and timing that I really don't think the people who made this decision quite understand that piece of it.
Or care about. That's the important thing. They don't care about it. No, they don't.
Yes,
you're right. The other thing about this is, again, my opinion. I don't have anything other than my gut feel to go upon here. But the only thing AT&T cares about, AT&T Warner Brothers cares about, is the IPs. If they can make movies and animated features and toys and games and cards and all that other exciting stuff out of the IPs they already have, they don't. You just got done saying the comic book distribution, the printing business, it's a pinprick. It's not even that.
Correct. And 2 points there. I think that there is that. That's the only reason they don't just say, oh, let's just license these characters out and just end DC Comics. That's the only reason, is because they recognize the IP creation is worth something, because they see Marvel does it and is succeeding. So they're like, we have to ape what they are doing. But that doesn't necessarily work, right? It's all about the execution of it.
You have to have a fan base who's interested in reading your product.
So this is where, though, I believe they are saying, so this is the final wrinkle, right? Is that if you go, okay, they're not stupid enough to say the floppies are meaningless, or no, if they do realize that, if somebody's smart enough to point that out to their bosses, then their answer is probably, then we need to go to digital, because it's so expensive to print these floppy things. So the periodical form should be purely digital, no waste. F the comic book stores, forget about it. Get it out there in digital. The hardcore people are going to seek this stuff out. Dude, what is a Batman fan going to do? Not read Batman? It's only coming out digitally. Some of them are going to read Batman, and then it's going to get collected, and it'll come out in trades, and then the hardcore print people will be it'll be first printing trade paperbacks. You know, that's the only way I could see it going. And it's so in line with corporate digital strategies outside of comics, right? The whole publishing world, they want to go on these digital, there's magazines, there's no money in printing magazines and ads and trucking them around and returning them and ripping off covers. So, guys, I don't know. I don't know what else to say on that matter. Like, so impact wise on you, Jeremy, final order cutoff is coming here. And then at that point, what's your plan for ordering DC product at your store?
Well, I mean, my current plan for ordering any publisher's product right now is to minimize my exposure, because there's still no certain. Now, I've been open for limited customer access since May 1st. We haven't had much to sell new, but old's a different conversation. What I haven't seen is a large scale return of the weekly guides. Okay, now some of that has to do with some of them live 30 minutes away. They work around the corner, but because they're working from home, and they've been in touch with me and I've been in touch with them and that kind of thing. But I've been trying very hard to minimize how much money I'm putting out the door on new product that may or may not have a chance to sell, and deciding to live on reorder even more than I have been before. In some ways, it doesn't make sense to cut my nose off to spite my face in regard to DC. I understand the emotion tied up in screw them. I'm just not going to order them ever again because they screwed me. I'm going to screw them. I still got to eat, and I still have to pay rent, and I still have a family to take care of. I'm going to make sensible business decisions, but I'm also going to minimize as much as I can exposure of DC product. I have a number of places around the store that we merchandise things full face and draw people's attention to, and have employee picks and things like that. None of those are going to be DC anymore. None of them. Right. And other places I've also said the same thing. Pretty much DC is going to be either subscription only or nearly invisible, that kind of thing. But it just doesn't make sense to. I'm sorry, I got too many Batman fans. That kind of thing. I gotta order Batman and that kind of thing.
Brian, so what's the impact on how many customers you got that use Managed Comics?
Well, after our last appearance on your show, we've got 55 now.
Nice.
So of those, I think about 8 of them are Canadian. Those are the ones that I'm most worried about. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is build a system in so that stores can adjust their discount by publisher, because DC Comics in Canada will not be discounted ever by any store I can imagine. The other thing is that I'm going to have to figure out how to do data with multiple vendors. So there's definitely going to have to be a data pull from UCS and Lunar, and hopefully they'll at least be on the same FOC schedules. And then right now, I would imagine each one of them is going to have a different output for that data. None of these companies are smart enough to have an actual API system that I can talk to, because all this stuff in a perfect world would just happen behind the scenes, and stores wouldn't be uploading a file here and a file there. Like, that's so stupid, and that's the way it's done now. So if I could talk to each one of the systems and have my stuff go through, it would be amazing. But like, one thing we're not even talking about is the fact that now DC Comics, as of this moment, as of June 8th, will not be available in the rest of the world, right? Canada and the United States, yes, but there is no distributor in the rest of the world.
Right.
So how do you deal with that?
Which is a huge part of the market for comics. Actually, I saw some figures recently in international. Canada being probably the biggest part of that, but certainly it's Canada plus the rest of the world is a humongous segment of the direct
Poor
market.
Rick Johnson might never see a DC comic again.
Oh man. So wait a minute. So let's go frequently asked questions. I read the DC email already. This was the second half of the DC email. And so this is what they're like getting ahead of it. They're prepped. They got a fact, right? So why it should, I think they left out the in heaven's name right here. Doing this,
I like that. Very good, Dan. Good point.
Right? DC has been analyzing its direct market distribution for some time, long before COVID, specifically in light of sustained stagnant market growth. The timing of the decision to move on from Diamond was ultimately dictated by the fact that DC's contract with Diamond has expired, but incidentally, the disruption by COVID to the market has required DC to forge ahead with its larger growth strategies that will benefit both the direct market and DC. So these are some of the lines I'm reading between. Okay, let me just go through all these questions and then we'll talk about them. How do I order my books next week? Retailers will need to contact Lunar or UCS or Penguin Random House to receive books with on-sale dates beginning June 30th. Okay, so the end of this month. You better be ready, guys, because this is happening right now. What about the books I've already ordered through Diamond's ordering system? Will I still get those? Retailers who have ordered titles with May or June 1st FOC date should expect to receive those books through Diamond. Titles with an FOC date after that are being moved. The FOC date's being moved, and everything after that will need to be ordered through one of the other three. So Diamond, no way. No way. You're already getting them through Diamond. Sorry. Too bad. I have books to return. Where do I send them? This is great. You guys love this. All DC periodicals and graphic novels that were sold to comic book specialty stores with in-store dates between 4/28 and 6/24 are returnable to the distributor from which they were ordered. That's nice. Each of these titles shall become eligible for return during the 30-day window of specified time, and such titles must be bundled together in shipments as followed. Titles returned after the 30-day window shall not be accepted. Oh, man, I'm missing the part of this where it says these have to be full copy returns in sellable condition, okay, and accompanied by a letter from Diamond that says they're returnable, okay? Affidavit returns, they're thinking about that for international accounts, but for you guys, you're going to have to pack them, ship them, and they better be in mint condition, or I don't know if you're going to get your money back, right? That's what I'm reading here. So it's this part, guys. It's really the first one is the most telling thing to me. So any thoughts on what that part means?
No, I don't. The easy answer is I have no idea what DC's doing in this regard. I will tell you something that I remember distinctly from the Comics Pro meeting that we had in Memphis 3 years ago. It might have been 4. My sense of time is terrible. John Cunningham, who was one of the vice presidents at the time, he's since gone, was up on stage talking about digital. And he posted a graphic up there showing digital sales, and it was literally a flat line. And he said, that flat line is 4 years worth of flat line. And he said, if you print retailers are concerned about digital impacting your sales, do you know how, he said, do you have any idea how hard it is to go to an executive and push for expansion of a program, digital in this case, that has shown a flat line zero growth over a 4-year period? It can't be done. No one would do it.
Okay.
So I don't understand. I am completely baffled by how
Jeremy,
they think that digital will carry them through.
Okay, because that's only true when there's an alternative to digital. This is what I'm saying. If there is no comic book industry, if there are no direct market comic book stores where I can pick up Batman tomorrow, digital sales are going to spike dramatically. by hundreds of percentage points, guaranteed. That doesn't mean they will equal physical comic sales now. It doesn't mean the price point will be the same necessarily.
I disagree in this regard, because the percentage of people who are old line comic book readers who are only interested in reading a floppy. Sorry, I don't have one handy. I'm sorry. Here we go. A comic book. Yes, thank you, Terry. Thank you, Terry Moore. That's Terry Moore's 5 Years, a Great Comic Book. But if they want to read a Batman comic, they don't want to read it online. If they had wanted to read it online before now, they would have done so.
Totally, Jeremy. But look, if they don't have a choice, they're now going to have two choices. Either be the first guy to read it digital, or wait for it to come out and trade and be the first person to read it that way physically. They're going to have both angles covered without DC or Warner Brothers or AT&T having to worry about this insignificant segment of individual stores run by a bunch of who knows what. They want to sell to Barnes & Noble, and they want to sell to Target, and they want to sell to Walmart. They don't want to sell through a distributor to 1,000 nobodies. No offense.
No, but I am.
I'm saying that's through their eyes. You're a somebody. You're more than a somebody in my book.
Well, Jeremy. Thank you. But yes, I know I'm a nobody to them. I'm aware.
So this is where I'm going. This is my completely cynical outsider's take on it.
I agree. And not only that, I think we've never, ever seen actual marketing of digital comics, right? Never seen it. And it's primarily because of the kind of comics retailer lobby who said, DC, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Right now, we feed you. So if suddenly that wasn't an issue and DC could market the hell out of it, because by the way, AT&T owns about a quarter of all advertising. So suddenly they have this massive platform and they can do whatever they want to on it because there's no retailers nipping at their heels saying, don't take away my sales. Yeah, Dan, you're onto something. Like it's and terrible, but
that's my thesis. Now, guys, all right, I want to take a second. Guys, there's been a million comments going by. We're not really looking at the comments. But right now, if you have specific questions for either Brian, Jeremy, or myself, or about this in general, let's let them start now and go ahead. And Jeremy's, I'm going to put Jeremy out, and we'll try to answer these things. Oh, I'll pull him back in.
Sorry, thought I needed to go. The truth is, I got about 5 minutes left, and I got to go.
Yeah, me too. I got about 9. So we're going to wrap this up now, guys. So this is your moment. If you got comments or questions, now would be good. If not, no problem. We can wrap this up. I really feel like I'm being cynical here, but I also feel like that is the only viable reading when you're talking about corporate decision-making, right? DC used to be small enough, and Bob Wayne used to be chummy enough to have a good relationship, but I just think those days are done. Comics have outgrown the direct market, have graduated into the mass market, and frankly, they don't care about the date who brung them to the dance. That's my only reading on it.
I'd love to argue against this, but their actions speak louder than words, and every action DC has taken in the and I'm sorry, Larry, you're right. They're not floppies; they're comic books.
Well, Larry, I love comics, and they're freaking floppy, dude. So give me a break.
Well, but I understand it's become a derogatory term, and I shouldn't have used it, and I apologize. It's the first thing that came to mind. So I think that we have some real problems with what's going on, but I'm still of the opinion that Steve Geppi is going to be proven to be correct. That I think that DC is going to find out that if they thought sales were bad before, they're only going to get worse.
Yeah,
that's my 2 bit.
I don't see this helping. And the ultra cynical, the nihilist in me says that they are just like, well, let's just cut it off right now. Like, let's just pull it out of Diamond, and maybe that will collapse Diamond and collapse the direct market, and it won't matter, and it'll be digital and graphic novels. That's the cynic in me says that somebody could make that decision, and it's not a smart decision necessarily, but in the corporate mind, in the short term, this quarter's profits, this second right now mentality, it makes
the American way. This moment, give me my money now.
Yeah. Let's see what we got. A bunch of crowdfunding stuff. Let's see how you came to that. Lots of oh, this was a response to Larry. Whatever. All right, guys, I do have to go. I got to get back to work, but I had to break in for this. This is true comic book news. This is the moment.
You were the first person I messaged as soon as I saw this. It was just.
I saw some messages coming in from my loyal people out there, man, that are reaching out. If you got tips and stuff for comic book news, send them in, guys. Brian, Jeremy, thanks very much. I'm going to wrap this thing up and get it out here. Thanks a lot.
That's good.
Oh, sorry, Jeremy. All right, folks. This is big news. I got to get back to work. I don't get paid to give comic book news. But this is too big not to talk about, right? What does this mean? Short term, I think it means nothing good for the direct market and the industry. Dude, we got chaos in the streets, literally roving, rioting and protesting going on, protesting being cracked down on, opportunists seeking to take advantage of that chaos to loot. And dude, what is DC doing right now but being an opportunist to take advantage of the chaos in the direct market as well as the whole world to force this thing through? Maybe I need to put up the tinfoil hat for a second here, but man, I'm gonna put it on. This stuff may have sounded like conspiracy theories, right? But the cynic in me, the guy who's worked for really big corporations that makes decisions that often seem really, really stupid and short-sighted, sees this as being one of those. It feels like they wanted to squeeze Diamond on terms. Like I said before, Diamond was not willing to capitulate because their margins are very slim and have not increased for a long time anyway. And so a bluff was called, if you want to call it that. And now the whole industry, every single comic book store who is already dealing with the chaos of switching and having to diversify to more distributors, which honestly seemed to me like a good thing. Like it's a good idea to have more distributors. If it had come out like there's 2 new distributors and you've got your choice of any or all of those 3 distributors, that's a great thing for the industry. But if you just want to turn this into a new exclusives war with distributors, then Steve Geppi, you nailed it 100% when you say those who don't understand history are doomed to repeat it, because somebody who made this decision either didn't know about, didn't think about, or understand the Heroes World precedent that says that this is a probably a bad strategy, or maybe they think they're smart enough to execute it the right way and pull it off correctly, and we'll rescue the direct market and all these comic book stores, and maybe the bookstores will be good too. No, I'm telling you. Their focus here is it's in that letter, dude. They've been analyzing this for a long time, and they want we got to go with larger growth strategies that will benefit both the direct market and DC. All right, I think I know what that means. I think I've hammered home my point enough. I got to get out of here and play with my kids. I'm sorry for any comments that have just sprung up that I'm not going to be able to respond to. But thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't already, consider hitting that little subscribe button and maybe the little oh man, we were just about to be joined by Leaf. Leaf, I gotta go, man. I gotta go watch my kids.
Yeah, I gotcha. Cool.
But dude, you were the one. Wait a minute, you were the one who told me about this happening this morning. So I just need to hear your take. Take it away. You got 2 minutes.
I think it's terrible. I mean, it's really kicking us when we're down, and it's they see a possibility to steal market share from the direct market and sell direct. That seems like this is a clear move on their part to do that.
I can't say you're wrong. I wish you were, Leaf. Thank you for hitting me to this. We're gonna have some more stuff about this. We'll do a payout, so we'll bring you in for that now. Okay, guys, thank you for watching. I really gotta go. Jelly Bean Shaheen is waiting in the wings for me. So thank you for watching. Please don't know Tasman. No, please do not smash the like button. You could break it. Please gently caress the like button, okay? And maybe the subscribe button, just soothingly sort of rub it, all right? And subscribe to this channel, get breaking news, get panelists. We've got some super cool stuff coming up this Tuesday. Dan Didio, you better believe I'm going to be asking him about this decision. We're going to go deep on the Didio perspective. After that, we got Milton Greep the week after that. And I don't want to tip my hand, but I've got a legend of comics coming up the week after Milton Greep. Another legend. It's legend after legend after legend. We're going to be bringing in who? I'm not going to say. I'm going to leave you with a teaser, but I'll announce that very, very soon because it's one of the most important people in the history of comics, let alone the direct market. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.